Okay, so yesterday we held our ARC Energy Investment Forum.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
It was great. We went from the macro kind of picture of like talking about nuclear and greenhouse gas emissions right down to the very micro, looking at how data technology could help predict wells and pump jacks that were needing maintenance work.
Well, it was amazing because there was all discussion about all sorts of technologies like connectivity, artificial intelligence, machine learning, as applied to, for example, electric vehicles and the whole system that is going to affect our mobility going forward. But by the end of the day, we also found out that those same technologies are being used in the oil fields of the future.
Right, big data.
Big data, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So talk about the framework we used to walk through the day.
Well, we wanted to paint a holistic picture of what is actually happening for the battle for the hearts and wheels of the market that we talked about. What type of energy systems are going to turn the wheels of the future, and what impact will that have on a barrel of oil consumption? So we started out with the framework by tracing out the traditional internal combustion engine wheels, which basically goes from the oil field to the refinery to the fuel tank to the combustion engine to turning the wheels. Countering that is the new systems that are coming in, which are the some sort of electricity source, which is not oil, into the some sort of generator to create electricity into the battery to turn the wheels. And we looked all across the map. We looked at batteries, we looked at what's going on in the oil field, we looked at what was going on with alternative mobility, for example, autonomous vehicles, and all sorts of things. The speakers were fantastic.
They were, yeah, it was great to learn from all of them.
Yeah.
And I mean, the big question was, what is the future of oil demand because of the potential for electric vehicles to take some market share away? And, coming out of the session, what was your feeling?
Well, I felt that there was some very credible arguments made by some of the speakers in terms of the new mobility and the fast adoption rate potential of electric vehicles and also autonomous vehicles and all those sorts of other things that can affect the barrel of oil. But we had some battery experts and some mining experts that provide, for example, the lithium, cobalt, and graphite that goes into the batteries. And it was clear to me that the upstream segment of the battery systems are quite immature yet. And the ability to ramp up very quickly to make a difference to the worldwide oil consumption is probably not forthcoming till at least mid-decade. Next year, next decade, 2025, 30-ish.
Yeah, we also talked about just the barriers to even buying electric cars today. It's not just about the economics.
Sure, it's hard to go into most cities and even buy one because the dealerships, we learned, aren't even offering them yet.
Well, the interesting thing, too, we learned about is, so the biggest thing that could affect oil demand is actually advancements in the combustion engine. And there are rules being put out there, not just in the United States, but in other countries, thinking about a 30% improvement in the efficiency over the next 10 years. And that actually has a much more meaningful impact on oil demand. And it could lead to more flat to slower growth oil demand as we think beyond 2025.
Well, I think so. And one of the things that I hadn't really fully considered was that to this point, we're talking about the light duty fleet, like cars and things being substituted with electric vehicles. But actually, there's a lot of innovative improvements happening in the heavy hauler fleet, isn't there? There's a lot of, which is about what, 10, 15% of oil consumption.
It's about 20% of the barrel, and very little innovation has happened there so far. So that was a really fascinating discussion of how some of these electric technologies could partner with the combustion engine, even for heavy hauling, and make quite a big efficiency improvement.
Right, and so, as we thought about the framework of, electric vehicle energy system, challenging petroleum energy system to turn the wheels, that a lot of what we heard yesterday from the experts was that it's not necessarily one or the other, but it's a hybrid combination of the two. Isn't that what some of your panel members talked about?
Yeah, that's right. It's really blurring the lines between the two systems. The combustion engine it's not really a competition, it's a partnership in terms of efficiency. Now, another topic we had talked about was the opportunity maybe for investment in some of these newer systems, like some of the minerals that would supply the batteries.
Yeah, what we heard from the battery experts and the mining side of the business was that lithium is definitely the number one element. We know that that's been on a bit of a run lately. If these aggressive side estimates for electric vehicle demand do materialize by even 2020, suggests that there's potentially more constraints in that upstream system, not only for lithium, but also cobalt prices have run quite dramatically.
And there's also the potential for substitution. So there's a little bit of concern about, will those materials be the material of the future?
Well, that's right. The battery panel taught us that while lithium, cobalt, and graphite are the subconstituents, right now there's a move towards more nickel and less cobalt and others. So even in that space, you can't make a bet without thinking about where the technology is going to be even 5 years out. So I think that it's not only is the electric vehicle space as a whole dynamic, the battery segment within is actually very dynamic as well. It's not a given that the battery of today is going to be the battery of tomorrow. In fact, we learned very clearly it's not going to be.
And then we finished off the day talking about innovation and pace of innovation, talking about the very beginning of the chain there for the combustion engine using petroleum, the oil and gas development.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that we accomplished through the day by having all the different views in the room was that the morning was used to highlight the electric vehicle type systems and the alternative mobilities and new technologies as an assault on the oil and petroleum-based wheel turning complex. The assumption, if you go to a conference just based on that, is that there is no competitive response. There is no competitive response, but that's not true, and that's what we clearly learned in the afternoon, is that the competitive response from the defender of the market share, the defender of turning the wheels with petroleum system, is coming on strong, especially the last couple of years.
Yeah, and it's not just this fracking and drilling technology. There's another wave of innovation here from data and sensors, and like you said, a lot of that stuff that's coming from other industries that can be adopted into oil and gas.
Yeah, in fact, what we learned in the morning was there's all these phenomenal technologies coming at us so quickly: artificial intelligence, connectivity, machine learning, and on, new material science. The assumption being that that is the exclusive domain of the challenger. To the status quo. But now we're finding that the incumbent, the petroleum systems, are latching on to the same type of technologies to defend their turf. So it's a very dynamic system right now. I think in summarizing, would you agree? I mean, we wanted answers to come out of the forum, but we probably got more questions, right?
We did, but we also, I think, learned that there's some exciting opportunities in both value chains to drive the wheel.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you have these disruptive changes and new technologies coming at industries from off the map, there's opportunity for everyone. I think the investors, corporate leaders in the room really saw those opportunities. Although, as I said, I think there's more questions that were raised than answers, but it's important, I think, that people learn to ask the right questions, not to be siloed in any one system or any one subsystem, like, hey, let's just talk about batteries, or hey, let's just talk about oil innovation. You got to take it collectively. Wouldn't you say? I mean, that's what we learned.
Yeah, it was great, and everyone learned something. It was a really insightful day.
It was a great day. Thanks for all your hard work helping me put it together.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah.